What's going on, my beat builders? It's a great day to be alive. Now, I know life gets in the way sometimes, and it's hard to find time to make music. I mean, it's your passion. I know definitely when I was in high school, I had much more time to make music. Even when I was in college, I was making music like every day. But as soon as life hit me and I'm paying bills and got to worry about different things and a job, man, I'll be lucky if I get to music every single day. But you don't have to make music every day to be productive. And in this video, I'm gonna help you find ways to make time for music production. Now, these tips are gonna be unconventional to what you may hear. It's not just about physically making music. There's other things that you can do to make music without making music. Tip number one: make a plan and put it in your calendar. Now, this is very simple. I usually use Google for all my calendar stuff because it gives me reminders and it's very easy to see. If you don't plan it, it's not going to happen. Trust me. I know it might be Monday and you say, "Oh, I'm going to make music Friday because I'm off of work." I got a half day or whatever it is you got going on. You're going to say, "I'm going to make music on Friday." And then when Friday happens, you forgot that you said that on Monday. But if you have a calendar, it written down, you're more likely to do it because you're going to get reminded. You're looking at your calendar of other things. Now, if you don't take notes using the calendar, I suggest you start, because it's just one small step to help you get in the rhythm of practicing and doing stuff that you really love, right? Putting things into your time. And if music is your passion and your priority, even if it's a hobby, you still might want to mark it on a calendar. So at least you know you don't want to say yes to something else that you didn't really want to do on Friday, but you already put in your calendar that you're going to make music for like at least 30 minutes or so. So that's what I do. I use a calendar to time block my things, to mark all my deadlines, like if I have a brief coming up, so I know when I need to start making music. Tip number two, which I think is a very important and low-key sneaky way. You're going to want to sneak in ways to make music. Now, let me give you an example. Oftentimes when I'm at work, so I'm a cleaner with my work. I'm mostly left by myself most of the day, cleaning bathrooms, sweeping, mopping, whatever it is. And I get ideas that pop in my head. And let's say it's a full melody. So if I get a melody in my head, I'll go off to the side somewhere else and I'll record a voice memo. Better yet, if you're worried about being seen in your work, just do it on your lunch break, right? They can't say nothing. It's your time to do with your lunch break. So if you have an idea, you get to your lunch break, you pick up your phone and you put it in a voice app. This is what I often do. And oftentimes, if I'm leaving work, I have a full song. So that way, once I get home to making music, I'm following that idea, putting the melody down, putting the drums down, exactly how I hummed it out in my head. That way, I'm technically making music. It's just not in the physical form. So what ways can you sneak in making music? Is it at your job with a voice app? Is it when you're driving to your job? Let's say if you're taking the subway and you got time to think by yourself, or if you're just in your car, you can do the same thing. Hum the melodies, repeat it. Now, I don't want you to pick up your phone and using it while you're driving, but if you're stopped at a light, pick up that voice recorder and just hum the melody. Trust me, it's so many other kind of ways that I sneak in making music. Like if I'm cooking, I'm chopping to the rhythm, coming up with beats. So this is a very low-key underrated tip about making music, but not really making the actual music, because once you make it in your head, you already made the music. We just tend to think of making music as only physical, but you have made the music. You came up with the idea. You just need to execute it. While we're on the subject about making time, have you been making time for your health? Are you been drinking your water? See, I keep my cup of water right next to my desk. Now, I used to keep this cup on the desk, but we know water and electronics do not mix. So now I just put it off to the side where if it spills, it's not a risk. It looks like it's close to that keyboard, but it's really not close to that keyboard. So I'm not worried about it falling here. I don't want it to fall on the stuff that you can't see, my computers and everything else. So make sure you're making time for your water because your health is important. Now let's move on to tip number 3 to making more time. You can make music using mobile apps. Technology has gotten way better these days where you can just have an iPad or even a small laptop or your phone and be making music. And one thing I like about this is because it's portable. You can just bring what you have some headphones, and you can just be tapping out beats. And another great thing about it is usually the mobile versions don't have that many features as their desktop versions. And this would help you hone ideas quicker and keep resources limited, right? We often think that just because we have access to unlimited things in our DAW and the plugins means you have to use it all. You don't. You can come up with great ideas with small things, right? What they say, necessity is the mother of invention. I don't know. I can't remember the actual quote, but you'll probably come out with some great stuff because you are limited. So if you have those ideas in your head and you got a few minutes that if you do ride the subway to work or you take the bus to work, well, you can be making music and have a couple songs done before you even know it, right? You might be thinking of your time like, oh, I'm just going to listen to other people's music, right? And nothing's wrong with that because sometimes you want to escape, you want to get hype, you want to listen to someone else's music to give you emotions. But you have to remember that if this is going to be a priority, you need to make it a priority. And these are ways that you can find time. So get you some mobile apps so you can be making music on the go. Tip number 4. Any amount of time is the correct time. I know we get stuck in our heads that you might need like at minimum 30 minutes to an hour to make music. That's not true. Anytime you have to make music, you can make music. Even if you only have 5 minutes a day, you probably wouldn't even, you'll be surprised how much you can get done with just 5 or 10 minutes a day. And you're probably wasting it on doing something else that you actually don't want to do. So let's say you just got something that canceled and you got 10 minutes to spare. Well, go work on some music, even if it's just the drum sounds, even if it's just getting the melody idea down, even if it's just thinking about the ideas of your next album that you're going to make. At least you'll be prepared once you come back to actually sitting down to making your music. And I want to add some other caveats that flow into this to help you speed it up when you do have those little moments of 5 to 10 minutes. One, you need to make sure your work area is ready to go. Everything is set up. You don't have to move different things into different places. So this way you'll be less likely to say, it's too much work to set up this music. You already got your guitars hooked up. You got your headphones hooked up. You got your speakers on. You got things ready to go. The next thing you want to have ready and prepared in advance is have music templates. Now I do this for my music. I have different templates depending on different briefs I want to make. I have a hip hop sports template. I got a hip hop orchestral template, drama suspension, tension type template. I got investigative template. All these things help me get to my music faster. So as soon as I open my DAW and I know I want to make investigative music, I just open that template. It has all the instruments I need, where it be like nice pad sounds, nice echoes, nice big lush reverbs, nice drum effect sounds that do ticking noises. That's great for investigative music. And it helps me get to the creation process faster. So you want to make sure you got those templates ready. And the last thing that goes into this is knowing what you're going to make before you start. Now, I know before, when I used to make music, I used to just sit down and play around, which nothing is wrong with that because I've came up with some great stuff playing around. But the likelihood you making something great just playing around is not going to happen. So I found at least what works for me is having those melody ideas, like I was telling you before, having those voice notes, or at least preparing to know, okay, I know I'm definitely going to make music when I get home. I want to make some investigative music. Now I'm already in the right mind to know, let me go to my template. Let me know which keys to press. I know a pad is going to get me, all I have to do is hit a couple of chords and it's going to put me in the right mood. So I'm not jumping all over the place to say, okay, do I want to make a hip hop track? Do I want to make something without drums? Do I want to make it scary, bright, happy, sad? I've already thought about that stuff. So when that small window of time comes up, I can get straight to making music. And the last tip, which I think is the most important, you're just going to have to make music your priority if you want to do it in your life. We as humans, we tend to take the path of least resistance. So whatever you're doing now, even if you don't see it as a priority, it is a priority. Let's take the example of social media and scrolling. You might be scrolling and think, man, I just wasted 30 minutes. Well, that's a priority. Whether you like it or not, it's a priority. See, priorities are not good or bad. It's just something that you do. We are creatures of habit. So if you just spent 30 minutes scrolling social media, that was your priority for those 30 minutes. So what I like to do, I try to reframe and try to change my mindset, and that's what I've been working on. If I get, because I'm human too. I start scrolling social media and I do not like it. I really do not like being on it. I don't like posting. I don't like looking at it. For some things I do if I'm doing research with sync licensing, but that's with a purpose. So one thing I've been doing, if I pick up my phone and I let's say I go to Facebook or Instagram, I stop myself and, hey, why am I here? Is it just mindless scrolling? If I say it's just mindless, what could I be doing instead of doing this? You want to prime your brain to think about what you want to do instead. Don't just say, I'm going to stop social media. Because then you're focusing on the negative action of stopping social media. And when we try to focus on stopping something, guess what? We just keep doing it, just like with diets and exercise. Now, I teach group fitness and I tell people all the time, it's simple ways, but people try to complicate it. Don't declare what you're not going to eat. As soon as you do that, I know you're going to mess up. And it's not to say that you can't willpower your way, because there are dedicated people, especially like those doing bodybuilder competitions, that they can just declare and say no carbs, no sugars, no bread, and they're going to make their goal. But most people cannot. Willpower is a muscle like anything else, and we are not that strong to hold things in willpower. So that's why diets often fail, because you're declaring what you don't want to eat instead of saying, what do I want to eat? Now you can have much more options. You're focusing on the right way for it. So that's how I look at it. When I'm scrolling social media, I say, okay, this is boring. What can I do instead? Build a different habit. So maybe I can do research on TV, watch a new TV show and listen to the music. Don't even watch the show, just listen to the music in the background. Or I can actually just go make music. Stop being lazy and just go make music. So it's a hard thing to make priorities in your life, because I know things come up in your life, whether it be work, your spouse, your kids, house things, whatever it may be, but you just have to fit it in and make it a priority. And hopefully all the tips before this helps you make it a priority. And especially this tip about reframing your mind about what you want to happen instead of taking away things and, quote unquote, punishing yourself for limiting those things, because you can do some social media scrolling, right? There's nothing wrong with taking breaks and doing those things, but you have to understand, when you say yes to something, you're also saying no to something else. I hope these tips help you manage your time and get music as a priority, especially so you can get more syncs. Let me know in the comments, what are your biggest time wasters and what are you trying to overcome to help you make more music? And what are some strategies you use to help you prioritize your music? Take it easy. Peace.